Колеги, вітання. Ми продовжимо робочий день.
The topic of the next press briefing is the new exhibition of Isolation Foundation, Restoring the Memory Project. And I give the floor to Anna Medvedeva. Thank you. Good afternoon. First of all, we are grateful to Ukrainian Crisis Media Center for this opportunity to speak, to represent our project that will be in our Isolation Foundation. We are speaking about Restoring the Memory Project. This exhibition is created by IDPs and artists from Donbass and Crimea. I believe that it's logic that this exhibition is held in Isolation Project. And I represent the fund that started its activity in Kiev now. In 2014, the foundation was seized by the militants of DPR in order to deploy their humanitarian help from Russia. And our premises were used as military base and also like as a prison and a place of torture. And then we were brought to Kiev and faced new challenges that were also connected with the identity. Are we cultural refugees? Are we people who are in refuge? And then we had a period when we had more positive way of looking at things, and we are like Normans that go from one place to the next, and among these issues, the most difficult was to establish relationship with the occupied territories. And here we say that there's no Donetsk as isolation, and this fund only exists in our memory, in the memory of our audience, and also in the pictures and texts, and in our exhibition activity. That's why we decided to create an exhibition that is a reflection on continuation of historic process, the restoration of connections, and also with some archives. And I give the floor to my colleague Andriy, and he is going to tell you about the reconstruction of the memory and why this is the core of our research. And also, Andriy is not only one of the curators, but he is also an artist who represents his project that is called Occupation, and the idea is very interesting. And now I give the floor to Andriy. Good afternoon. Our project is about restoration of the memory, about the trauma that happened to all of us IDPs from the start of the military actions and even before, because we can't go back, and we have our things there. There are important memory things in those occupied territories. And now we try to restore our life, and we decided to do it not by a project of our own, but to collect, but gather those artists from Donbass and Crimea. We have common suffering, common trauma. That's why each of them can speak for themselves. And now it's too early to analyze this, and we don't know what results be. But now we can observe our experience, our feelings, because everything changes with the time, and we will have different feelings, different reflections, and then we will work on this material. And about your own project, that is called occupation. Is this occupation of anonymous stories? Yes, it is an occupation of photos. I had photos in I had photos in my own family archive, and also I bought some photos from other people, and I created some artifacts with them. So I get photos from different people, from different families. I create some artwork with them, and this is the same. I think that the same happens to our territories in the east and Crimea, and I think this is some sort of resemblance. And I saw several pictures from Kharkiv. Is this an opportunity to establish new communication with the East, or do you have some other photos that are connected to other territories of Ukraine? First of all, this is history of my family that is connected not only with Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast, but with the Kharkiv Oblast and Kharkiv and other oblasts, and we can restore the stories of 4 generations, great-grandmothers, and all the occupations that were related to our neighbors, so Transnistria, Crimea, Donbass, everything. And on the background of family history, these are the events that happened in these territories. And you are in Poland now, and how does trauma transform? How does it transform now? What are the transformations? Can you elaborate on this? So we are detached from Ukraine now. We are not in our own country, and maybe this enforces our feelings and deepen our trauma. Every region of Ukraine has its own history of opposition to the loss of memory, and the same story is about Crimean Tatar, and this story is the most tragic. And I ask my colleague to tell about this. Good afternoon. First, my project home is the project about my family, about my grandmother, my mother, and about me, and about Crimean Tatars. And it is about collective memory and the correlation between public discourse and private individual reflection on those events that happen in Crimea. And to illustrate this, I used the interview with my mother and great mother, and they told about the stories, family stories that they were told by the relatives, and my grandmother didn't know about the deportation because her own mother was afraid to tell her about this, because she was afraid that she will be expelled from school. So she spoke about it then, and the memory of my mother also. Her mother always worked, and my mother studied at school, and Soviet pressure influenced her impressions, and she believed in the idea of Soviet era, and this memory, this reflection didn't change for a very long time, till the times when I was in the family. There was some talk about the deportation, and it was very important for me. It was the part of my identity, and respectively. This reality, it correlates with the public discourse, with the public conflict. And I was in Crimea and I visited my school and I studied there for 10 years. And my photo now is in the museum of that school. And there's also a Putin portrait and the symbols of Russian Federation, and this is in one single space. And the other issue I wanted to raise is that it is very difficult to Crimean Tatars to continue their life because around them there's a political discourse. They say that Crimea is part of Russia and they just want to survive and continue their life, but you should choose your geopolitical orientation, the system of coordinates, and in what way can you be influenced by it in your daily life. Thank you very much for your presentation. The next speaker, Alexander Klerkovsky. And now the issue. I know that your project, your idea is that it appeals to the topic of reconstruction of reconstruction. And in your project, you highlight the issue of interrelationship, people in Donbass and the art. Art in Donbass. It was a component of mass culture. And I have a question. Do you believe that there's some relation between this attitude and the fact that Russia quite easily and fast could occupy these territories where there's no understanding of connection between history and the in-depth understanding of identity of this region? Can you specify on this? Good afternoon. I'm Alexandra, and this is my friend Alexandra, and we are Duet. And for us, this is real tragedy, because we were born in Donetsk, and then we went to Sevastopol in Crimea, and we went in Donetsk, and we got the fact that everything that we created was destroyed, and they thought that that was something important, some black and white films with some stories. There were some films where one tree is shot. That's why they decided that no one needs this. And we came there and we saw that we do not have anything. And in the spring, when the administration was seized, we started to make photos and to reconstruct those photos that we've made in different times during our young years. And then we established a reconstructed archive, and from these materials we create installation and exhibition. And when we started to work, we worked with the collective conscious and archetypes that are known by those people who lived there or visited frequently this territory. But we understood that the memory is not an archive that can be reconstructed and rewritten, that this is a process that, as any organism, can be developed or can decline and die. And memories are different now, and memories are destroyed because the reality creates different conditions, and we are not the same. And we understand this. And for me, it's a trauma to work in this project because I am in the situation that my family, there's a divorce. My parents see situation differently, and they understand the cultural paradigm in different way, and they try to find some points and coordinates, and this doesn't allow them to stay together. The situation is not political crisis only, it's a cultural crisis, because the situation, the attitude, it forms political situation, economic situation. And it happens so that in occupied territories, people want to restore the past, but the world changes. It's not the same. But people don't want to realize this. They want to remain in a stable, comfortable environment of the past, of Soviet past, actually. That's why they say, and they agree, to accept anyone. It can be Russia or any other system, but I think that people want to freeze in this world of the past, to change nothing. And in this past, the cultural paradigm, the culture is some sort of entertainment, maybe to watch some photos, nothing else. People don't understand that culture changes and that information is the highest value, not as it was in the past, and it is not a material anymore. The values are different now. Thank you. The exhibition will start from the 4th of February to 4th of March, Nabережна Lugova 8, without any breaks, and starting from 9 o'clock till 6 p.m. And also we will conduct some discussions, and you can see this information at our site, isolation.org. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues. And I have a comment. What about the tickets? No, there's free access. I don't have other questions. You moderated greatly this briefing. Do you have some question or comments? If there's no questions or comments, thank you very much for coming. Good luck.